Hey everybody, it's Derek here. We're going to take a look at the news from the 16th to the 22nd of August 2021. So quite enough week for the news this week. I think people or game companies are probably waiting on Gamescom, which is next week. Probably have a lot of announcements then, but that doesn't mean there isn't some shitty stuff happening in the industry. But we'll start with one news story that's kind of doing the rounds a little bit. This is coming off the back of a video done by People Make Games, who make some very excellent investigative stuff around the game industry. It's not always about shitty stuff like what I tend to focus on, but they do like some interesting human interest stuff. They did one on like big global social games and stuff like that. There's some really interesting stuff on their channel, and you should check them out independently of this particular section. But one video they did recently is looking into how Roblox is basically exploiting children, so young game developers. And when we say young here, the Roblox demographic is like 9 to 14, 15, that age. So like pre-teens to early teens. And if you're not super familiar with Roblox is generally young person focused game. But it's more like a platform that hosts a bunch of experiences made by other players or developers, presumably. And they're called experiences, as pointed out in the video. They call them experiences because if they called them games, they'd be liable for the Apple terms of service stuff on you having a game store within a game store, basically. So that's why it's called an experience instead. So basically, it's a kind of, think of it as something like Little Big Planet or Dreams and that kind of thing, in that it's mostly a platform and a set of tools for you to build your own games and for people to then play those games and so on. Whether it comes with a standard, maybe a sandbox area or something, I don't know. But in general, it's basically a collection of loads and loads of games that have been made by the developers on the platform, which sounds like a great thing. Like they do give you like a free platform, a free set of tools to build your own games and stuff like that, and made like games made for kids by kids. Sounds like it should be a good thing, right? It's not on this show because it's a good thing. Anyway, going into the video, you should check it out yourself. There's a link to it here in this article, but it's basically just highlighting how shitty the whole system is for everybody except Roblox itself, pretty much. So, topping it out, Roblox has about 200 million monthly users, and of those experiences that those users can avail of, there are about 20 million of those. But problem is, Roblox only surfaces about 1,000 of them. It only surfaces like the most popular ones at any given time. And there's no real discoverability option in their platform. So you're going to have issues where, like, if you develop a game and you want to get it out for people to see it, they're not going to see it. It's like 0% chance it's going to happen, pretty much. Unless, of course, you pay Roblox to advertise it. So now you have, ostensibly, children paying Roblox in Robux, right? Their shitty virtual currency, to advertise their game to other children. But instead, you're going into a kind of lottery system for that advertisement. So still, chances are, even if you do pay for it, chances are they're still not going to see it. Probably still not going to see it. You're still very much at the mercy of the handful of developers who have the money to like hire people to make decent games to be put to the top of Roblox. It's like, where have we heard this before? This isn't how YouTube works. This isn't how every video game platform works or anything like that. What's different? What's different is they're kind of telling children that anybody can make lots and lots of money out of this. But the problem is, one, no, you're not, because it's 0% chance it's ever going to happen. Two, Roblox takes a ridiculous cut out of your profits, like considerably more than any other platform. Like Steam takes a 30% cut. Google and Apple, I think, do the same on the App Store, and it's not public knowledge, but it's believed that PlayStation and Microsoft and so on do the same. Although Microsoft have changed now with Epic, they're taking about 12 to 15% of a cut per purchase, whereas Roblox takes like 75%. It's a tiny bit more publicly. If you actually dive into their accounting practices and various exchanges and cuts that they take, it's much more than that. Like, even if you were in a position where your game was being played by thousands of people a month or whatever, you're still making pretty much nothing. Even if you do somehow make money, and it's great that the video goes through all these stages. Let's say you get over the massive hurdle of actually getting your game seen. Let's say you get over the massive hurdle of actually getting people to play the game on enough times. Even then, in order to cash out, because Roblox won't pay you in actual currency, they'll pay you in Robux, right? They'll pay you in the virtual currency, which players can use like in-game to buy cosmetics or to buy like a go on a game or something like it's an arcade token or something like that. So you get paid. After Roblox take their 75% cut, you'll get your Robux. And then if you want to cash out, so YouTube has something similar, Google AdSense has something similar like that. It's like you have to make a certain threshold of money before they'll pay. And it's mostly to get around them giving out like a dollar to people or less than $1, because the bank costs would be worth more than the actual money they're giving you. So there's usually a threshold. It's like $100 will pay out, maybe $10 will pay out, something, right? Roblox, you need to have earned 100,000 Robux to cash out. So they won't cash out on anything under that. If you were to purchase 100,000 Robux, it would cost you $1,000, right? $1,000. That's if you want to convert from real money to fake money. If you want to then convert from fake money to real money, you'd think same exchange rate, right? Just backwards? No, because Roblox take a ridiculous cut of that from going backwards. You actually only get from 100,000 Robux that would have on the market been $1,000. You'll instead get somewhere around $300 for it. That's a huge cut, which then ends up meaning players and developers don't cash out. They just keep the Robux. So they funnel it again back through the Roblox system, which encourages them to stay there, which encourages people to like stay on the platform and so on. Like it's an insidious loop of that. That's kind of how Script in general works. It was a ye olde system. They go into it in the video, but it's been around a really long time, where instead of paying people money, you'll pay them credits towards like some kind of company thing, which means their fortune is basically tied up in fake money, like company corporate money, or scrip as it was called. You'd use that to buy provisions within the corporation, whatever it was. It would also mean that if you ever left the company, all of that is worthless. You've gone from having 100,000 corpo bucks to having zero money, right? So, which means you're pretty much never going to leave your job. They can treat you however they want. Not great for the worker. And that hasn't changed in the Roblox platform. It's the same deal. It's awful. The video itself does a much better job of highlighting these kind of things, and I would encourage you to have a watch. It's about a 20-minute watch. This video in particular I'm highlighting just because it's kind of escaped its usual realm, and has kind of started appearing on different websites, and people not entirely being not being aware of just how shit Roblox was. And I don't even mean like bad to play. I mean like it's a terrible platform and it's extremely exploitative. Even if these were adults, this would be terrible practice. The fact that it's children is even worse, because they don't know any better. Anyway, I'd encourage you to have a look at it. People Make Games over on YouTube. Again, there is a link here in this article but you can also just find them on PMG or People Make Games over on YouTube. This is a really good video, and they have a lot of really good videos, so just check them out. Okay, we're gonna have a look at some new releases for this week. So starting off with the PlayStation exclusive Ghost of Tsushima Director's Cut, which includes, I think... No, it doesn't. I was gonna say it includes the Iki Island expansion, but it doesn't. So this is basically just Ghost of Tsushima with a couple of like extra enhancements. If you're going like PS4 and you're staying with PS4 for Director's Cut, it's not a huge difference really. There's not a whole lot of changes to it. Kind of the bigger thing would have been, it's like the Japanese lip sync was probably only the really big change on the PS4 version to another PS4 version. If you're going up to the PS5 version, yeah, there's some considerable changes there, all right. Mostly around performance and stuff. There's no, as far as I'm aware, there's no new content exactly. All the new content is tied to the Iki Island expansion, which I'm not sure if it's included in the Director's Cut or not. I think it is. Now that I think about it, I think it is. I think if you choose not to upgrade to the Director's Cut, you can still get the Iki Island stuff separately. So I think that's what the deal is there. Also, kind of out of nowhere, QuakeCon was this week. There wasn't a whole lot of news that I was particularly interested in, but I just thought this was kind of interesting in that they have remastered a lot of the original Quakes. And there's now like a complete package that you can play them all on the various PCs and consoles. It's on pretty much everything except mobile. Whenever I say pretty much everything, you can take that as shorthand for everything except mobile, pretty much. Yeah, one of the like very first-person shootery type games. Still holds up well. I mean, not graphically, obviously. It looks like it looks fun, and even remastered, it looks like clean edges and so on. Obviously, if you played the original, one wouldn't have this aspect ratio for a start, and there'd be bloom all over the place. But you know, it's cool if you're into that kind of thing, like those kind of lighting effects. No, we're not in the original. Okay. Elsewhere, we have Greak, Memories of Azur, which is a side-scrolling Metroidvania action-adventure, which is my bag. It's very much my bag. What's interesting with this game, one, it's like the animation style, it's all hand-drawn stuff. And two, you're sort of controlling three characters at once. You can kind of split them up to do like level-specific stuff for those particular characters, but for the most part, you're controlling three characters at once. And I also like to point out that I have been given a key for the game. So very much thanks there for a PR person who was probably not paying too much attention to my channel. But thank you for that, and we'll be looking at that later on the over on the channel, probably Wednesday at some point. 12 minutes, which is getting a lot of press. This is a kind of time loop game or Groundhog Day type thing. You have 12 minutes that repeat themselves. You make various different decisions throughout those 12 minutes, and things change and adapt. And not sure what the goal of the game is exactly, on what you're trying to achieve. It's got a pretty famous voice cast. We've got Jason McAvoy, Daisy Ridley, and Green Goblin, Willem Dafoe himself. It's getting a lot of really good reviews, some mixed reviews, but for the most part, it's positive. What's somewhat annoying me is that it is currently Xbox exclusive, or PC, but primarily it's Xbox exclusive. It is not great, which means I'm pretty much not going to get around to playing this for a very long time, unfortunately. Road 96, which was on a previous Indie World showcase. It's a kind of procedurally generated road trip kind of thing, where you kind of can collect a bunch of people or try to hitchhike, or you know, you bump into different people along the way, and you have different gameplay options. You know, whoever you happen to meet, like some things will change, but you're basically just on a road trip. This is on Switch and PC currently. As you can see, even in the top corner, there's all sorts of different potential things that can change along the way. And then Humankind, which is a Civ game, like Civilization or an Age of Empires type deal, where you're kind of taking humanity from its beginnings all the way up through into the future and that kind of thing. And I think this trailer is mostly a tone setter kind of thing. Yes, I don't think there's actually gameplay in this trailer, but yeah, two astronauts meet and they have a fight over which which one of them actually gets to plant the flag. It's a pretty funny trailer, but there's no actual. Oh, okay, there's a bit of gameplay in it, but you can get the idea. It's a bit Civ, it's a bit Age of Empires. I'm not usually super into these kind of civilization building games, but Humankind's presentation is really nice. Its UI is pretty slick, and it has been, like, from what I've seen of people playing it and from like press stuff from it, it looks kind of interesting. At the moment, it is PC only, or Stadia, I suppose, if you really want to go. But yeah, anyway. Those were our new releases for this week. But it's time to get irrationally angry at the industry that makes the things we like. So, Aeon Must Die is a game that was on a PlayStation State of Play last year at some point. I'll just throw up the trailer while I talk about it. It got a lot of great responses from people, like on Twitter, on different reviews, on different message boards, looking at it because it looked super slick. Looks like a really cool side-scrolling action game. But then it came out that the developers hadn't been paid for all of the work that had gone into this trailer, like all the animations, all the artwork, like even the editing for the trailer itself. And it was there were accusations going around that there's a bit of a hostile takeover on the CEO, who had kind of taken ownership and had kind of been forcing crunch, and a lot of shit, more or less, had been happening at the company. So the developers had come out like a day after the trailer to kind of say their piece, and like they weren't getting like legal relief or anything like that. They had contacted Focus Home Interactive and they weren't getting anything from them. So they felt they had no recourse but to just put it out into the public. It's like, here's our Dropbox, here's all the letters and emails and shit, and it's like alleging like ridiculous crunch and non-payment of assets and stuff like that. And when it came out, the trailer at least kind of disappeared, and it was radio silence for a year, and has only popped up in the last week or so. Yeah, it was only the trailer kind of went back up Wednesday, I think. Focus Home Interactive put it up themselves, and they said that they found no evidence of, wrongdoing or forced crunch or anything like that. And it's like, Focus Home Interactive would never suggest crunch to developers. They're hands off when it comes to development. They're only there to help. They don't push the development drive. They just help. And they found no evidence that there was any wrongdoing, yada yada yada. So they've put the trailer back up, and I guess as far as they're concerned, there's no problems here. The game is due for release at some point at the end of this year. It was supposed to be the start of last year, and it was supposed to be the end of last year that it was meant to come out. And Jesus, was it State of Play in 2019 when they showed this, actually? I don't know now. It was a long time ago. Anyway, and then the developers came out again on Twitter to say nothing's changed. Like, they don't own the IP. We were never paid. There's still a bunch of legal shit going on about this. So as far as the previous developers are concerned, because they've left the company now and formed their own company, but the previous developers are concerned, nothing's changed here. We still haven't been paid. You don't get to have this. So who's correct here? I'm inclined to believe the developers, just because they're the underdogs here, but this is kind of it's shitty all around. Like, it's a really interesting looking game, and I'd love to play it. But if it's gonna have these kind of things around it, then no, I'd rather wait for the developer's new game. It's called Immortal. We don't know a whole lot about it, but it's by the same people who basically made this, and by all accounts, it might just be this again with a different name and without problematic people involved. I don't know. If it ends up being published by Focus Home Interactive, that will be pretty funny. Okay. Right. Dead by Daylight stuff. So, Dead by Daylight, if you're not familiar, is a asymmetrical multiplayer horror type game where 4 players are attempting to hide and escape from one player who is playing some kind of stereotypical horror character, like a slasher or a ghost or something like that. And that was the beginning of the game, at least, but now has kind of evolved to more or less encompass the horror genre in general, because there are a bunch of characters now tied to Dead by Daylight. We've got like Pyramid Head from Silent Hill. We've got Halloween guy, whatever his fucking name is. There's crossovers with Resident Evil. Jason's the Halloween guy. Freddy Krueger's in there somewhere. I think Predator was in it at one point. I'm maybe thinking of a different game, but also Stranger Things. So the Stranger Things, 2 of the cast members, the ones that can legally be killed, they can't put the kids in and have them get hung on hooks and stuff like that. You know, the rating would go way up. They wouldn't be allowed that. And the monster from the first series, the Demogorgon, also available as a playable character. So all 3 were playable characters, and then there was a level based around one of the locations from the TV show. But due to licensing agreements, and this is the kind of the way licensing an IP works, they're going away soon, which isn't great. And like, these kind of things happen, like licensing agreements lapse, and it's usually not an issue when the game is an offline thing, right? It's like a self-contained thing. You've downloaded it, you have it, it's licensed for that particular product. We're all good. It only becomes a problem when it's a live service, which is what Dead by Daylight is, kind of. At this point, it might as well be, just because it can do these kind of things and have seasons and that kind of thing. So if you've bought it already, if you've bought the Stranger Things pack, you'll still be able to use it. It's delisted from the store, but hasn't been removed entirely, so you can, if you already own it, you can still buy it again. It's just, if you wanted to buy it after November 17th, you can't. It's on discount if you want to, 50% off or something like that. With Stranger Things, our focus continues to be ensuring the legacy of these characters within our game for fans who have purchased them or plan to do so. So, like, as long as you've purchased it before then, you're fine. Characters will remain playable. The level is disappearing, though. So it's a question of whether or not the level is included in the purchase. Don't know. Don't play the game, so I don't know. But I think I'm only really including this to just highlight the idea of game preservation. Like, licensing agreements are going to make that an issue. You see it a lot with music IP in trying to get games remastered or re-released or something like that. A lot of the times, if they've used licensed music, you're going to run into problems on getting that out again. I think like GTA Vice City had some serious problems with that because of the licensed music in that game. Getting a re-release for it is a massive pain in the hole. And if they are actually going to be remastering it, as is somewhat alleged, it's a question of whether or not they're just going to make their own music or what have you. The Guardians of the Galaxy game coming from Square Enix is also going to have that problem. You know, my music licenses lapse, and in this case, IP licenses also lapse. It's business is how it works, but it shouldn't work that way. But there you go. Okay. Riot is still delaying harassment investigation, California alleges. So, not to be outdone in the California Department of Fair Employment and Housing, as you may have heard already a lot of the times on this channel, because they are going after Activision and Blizzard for sexual harassment and stuff. Before that, they went after Riot for pretty much the exact same thing. Developer has once again delayed their investigations into harassment and sexual discrimination. This is kind of addressing Riot's 2019 decision to privately settle with approximately 100 women who waived their claims and rights. The problem is, Riot basically set out in their agreement, in their forced arbitration, which is illegal, in California at least, that, yeah, we'll give you money if you shut up and don't talk to the government about what happened here. And that was in their like documents. The department asked for those documents, eventually got them, and were like really kind of shocked at the at what was in the arbitration agreement. So they're now accusing Riot of dragging their heels. So when they got the news that they had basically forbade these people, these 100 women who waived their claims and rights to say that they can't talk to the government, or in particular the Department of Fair Employment and Housing, that they can't talk to them about what was happening in Riot. The department basically came back to say that's illegal. They can. They absolutely can. We have anti-retaliation and anti-interference provisions are in Fair Employment and Housing Act, so they very much can still talk to us. And you have to tell them that. You have to tell them that the agreement to say that they can't talk to them was illegal. And that's what they're saying Riot are dragging their heels about doing. They're like, no, we don't want them to talk to you. We're not going to tell them to do that. The court ordered Riot to issue the corrective notice. However, Riot has delayed the process for 2 months. So they're very much like, we don't want to tell them because we don't want them to know. Those who sign settlements cannot be prohibited from speaking with the department or taking part in any resulting case. So basically, while forced arbitration itself is not illegal, forced arbitration very much is illegal, for these kind of things, at least, for like sexual harassment, discrimination, like criminally actionable things, telling them that they can't talk to the department is also illegal in California, and they're just trying to get Riot to like correct the record with these employees. The rest of the article kind of just highlights the original investigation and how Riot basically just did not play ball at all. They refused to provide the department with adequate information to analyze whether women are paid less than men at the company. Riot were withholding basic employment data that employment laws require employers to maintain, and they were unable to reach a solution without involving the courts. Riot, for their part, told Kotaku that this issue mainly related to former employees. Mainly related, meaning not totally related to former employees, meaning some current employees are also caught up in this, I guess, but also doesn't matter if they're former employees. You did some shit to them, and you need to be held accountable for it. Riot has never and will never retaliate against anyone for talking to any government agency, despite them saying in their forced arbitration agreement that we would. Like, you're agreeing not to, and we'll take you to court if you do. So, yeah. Basically, California going after Riot still. So they're going after Riot and Blizzard at the same time. Good for them. Good for them. Okay, Outriders developer says it hasn't earned any profits from Outriders. So here's a kind of a weirdness of the Game Pass system in general. So if you may or may not recall, Outriders launched day one on Game Pass as well as on PlayStation, but sorry, I'll rephrase that. It launched in Game Pass, so if you were a Game Pass member, you just got the game for, the price of your subscription or whatever. Or you could pay full price for it on PlayStation and maybe PC, I don't know. I guess you can opt into Game Pass on PC, but whatever. Point is, People Can Fly haven't gotten any royalties from the game. So typically the way it works is that the publisher will front the money to get the game marketed, to get the game produced, to get the game, to pay salaries for the developers and shit like that. They'll pay for marketing, they'll pay for QA and so on, right? So they have all the money, pretty much. Which means they can spend all of that money. That's kind of how it works. They have all the money. In this case, it's Square Enix. In some cases, it'd be EA, Ubisoft. And for the first party, it'd be PlayStation, Microsoft, and whatever. So they front the money, and then the idea is the game sales will primarily go back to the publisher to recoup their losses. And then after that, it'll be whatever profit sharing agreement they have. The publisher will get X%, the developer will get Y%, and so on. And that will be royalties from the game. And what People Can Fly are saying is that they haven't received any for Outriders in particular, which has led them to assume that the game has not been profitable. This is despite the game having a massive engagement numbers at launch. They had something like, it's here somewhere, 3.5 million unique players in the very first month. Pretty much almost entirely thanks to the Xbox deal, which just saw people who were on Game Pass got a free game. It was like, why wouldn't you try it out, you know? And even then, that's only in the first month. It doesn't say how many of them they lost in the second month and so on. And then People Can Fly claimed in an investor note on Tuesday that it has yet to receive royalties from the game. So this would suggest, as far as Square Enix is concerned, this probably means that, in Square Enix's opinion, the Outriders game has not exceeded the break-even point. Now, I would take some questions about him using the word probably here. Like, you should check that. That shouldn't be a probably. That should be a definite. Anyway, they have a couple of quotes here from the CEO of People Can Fly, where he necessarily alleges, but speculates is a better word, about the having not received royalties at the moment. It's basically to say that the Game Pass deal, I guess, was not lucrative enough to recoup losses and so on, and that having the 2 to 3 million actual purchases should have, or at least in his opinion, probably should have made it profitable, but apparently it hasn't. So there's some weirdness going on in the account system. Or is it the case that the Game Pass deal hasn't turned out particularly well for the developer? Let's put it that way. And could potentially have turned out well for the publisher, but it seems that it has gone too well for People Can Fly, at least, because they've yet to receive royalties. Square Enix, for their part, are saying that Outriders is on track to become the company's next major franchise. A next major franchise that hasn't become profitable yet. It's just there's something wrong here. To be honest, I always thought it was weird that Outriders went with Game Pass, just because there's a mention here from Square Enix that they were looking to get like a big install base, and they're like, we have a huge number of people who have played Outriders. It's like, 3.5 million uniques on the first month. Getting a huge install base for the game. That really only makes sense if it's a service game, right? Like, you're gonna have people logging in and spending microtransaction money and that kind of thing, which Outriders isn't. Outriders is a self-contained multiplayer game. There are no microtransactions. There's no service fee, none of that. So I don't understand why they wanted a massive install base if they weren't getting the money for it. Because they're only going to get it from first-time sale. Like, that's where they're going to make their money on Outriders. And it never made sense. The only way it would have made sense is if the Game Pass deal was ridiculous. Like, lots of money. Which it clearly hasn't been, because People Can Fly aren't getting their royalties. Unless there's some shady shit happening, which, like, we don't know. And it goes back to the probably thing. It's like, you should probably figure that one out. Like, make sure what's happening there. But I don't know. On the other hand, Outriders becoming their next major franchise is like 2 stars. That's a justified review. Outriders is not a good game. Anyway, okay. Among Us devs aren't feeling Fortnite's new imposters mode, so you may or may not know that the Fortnite game has recently released a imposters mode that is Among Us. It's pretty much just Among Us. There's pretty much no difference, even. They didn't even try to change it even a tiny bit. It's Among Us. Now, at the same time, Among Us is just Werewolf. Right? It's like, Werewolf's not a video game, sure, but it's the same mechanics, right? It's a social deduction game. Same deal. Same as Mafia, same as Resistance, like a lot of those games. Those kind of hidden roles or social deduction type things. So the game mechanics themselves, not wholly different, but it's hard to look at it and not go, this is just Among Us with Fortnite wrapped around it. And basically, the Among Us developers are like, we're like a tiny indie game studio, and we're just being completely shit on by Fortnite, pretty much. they would have really have liked to, where is it? It's something here. Yeah, it would have been really, really cool to collaborate with Epic to like make like an Among Us mode for Fortnite, where they could like have a crossover thing and they could both promote their own game, you know, that kind of thing. But instead, Epic just went, no, we're just gonna steal it. It's fine. It's what we do. We just steal things. Community director kind of went on to just say that like the game mechanics themselves, like they're not even original to us, like, and he doesn't believe they should be gatekept because game, like, I would agree, game, like the actual mechanics of how the game works shouldn't be patented or whatever. You know, people didn't patent dice or cards or that kind of thing. Like it's not it should never be a thing. Fortnite itself has like plenty of criticism for just, as it's put it here, crass amalgamation of popular culture. It's just like a horrible melting pot of what's popular right now. Stealing dance moves without crediting the creators. Have a huge legal battle with Apple, and then they tried to say it was like the civil rights movement. That's all whole shit. And then kind of missed in this article, which I'm a little surprised about, is how Fortnite as it stands now, the Battle Royale thing, it's not how the game launched. The game launched as a kind of Minecraft with guns thing. It was a camp builder survival type game in where you would spend the day building up your camp and building up like siege stuff, like traps and what have you, for the incoming zombie horde that would arrive at night. And then you would try to survive, and like how well was your camp built and how long could you last, that kind of thing. That was how Fortnite, that's why it's called Fortnite. You build a fort and then fight at night. That's why it's called Fortnite. That's how it launched. But then PUBG came out, and everybody really liked PUBG for some reason. I still don't get it, but everybody really liked PUBG. And then they went, hey, why don't we just make PUBG but call it Fortnite? Fortnite Battle Royale. Let's just call it that. So they did. And that's what the game is now. And now, once again, they're just stealing another developer's idea and running with it. And that's... yes, it's shit. It is very much shit that it's so obvious that they're just stealing it and not trying to change it or anything like that. Just going right with what it very much appears like is like the same thing again. But also, the games industry is full of that. There's so many games that just steal ideas from other developers, and that's art in general. It's like, you know, good art is copy, great art is steal, like that kind of thing. The thing is, you're not meant to just... this is copying rather than stealing. You know, they're not taking the idea and making it their own. They're just doing the same thing again, and that's obvious to pretty much everybody. But because Epic have a shit ton of money, it's not like there'd be any litigation anyway, because there's no patenting no patenting in game mechanics, basically. So there'll be no litigation or anything like that. But it's shit. It's shit to like take the great success story that Among Us had over the pandemic, because it was released way before the pandemic. But when the pandemic hit, people were looking for like social outlets, and they found Among Us, and it took off and has been like a fantastic success story for a very small company. And then just to have Epic's big dick come in and slap them across the face, it's not great. It's not a great look. Okay, continuing with workplace harassment and discrimination shit. Ubisoft are back at it again, guys. Or not that they ever stopped, really. But now, Ubisoft Singapore are under investigation over sexual harassment and workplace discrimination. So, Ubisoft Singapore are the developer ostensibly behind Skull and Bones, or Skulls and Bones. I think it's Skull and Bones. Anyway, the pirate game. And they are under investigation from the Tripartite Alliance for Fair and Progressive Employment Practices in Singapore. So it's Singapore's national workplace watchdog, following allegations of sexual harassment and workplace discrimination. Even for Ubisoft standards, Ubisoft Singapore is considered by far the worst one for discrimination and harassment. It's like, began receiving its own anonymous reports last month following the revelation that the studio's office culture was so bad that Ubisoft Singapore has always been kind of known internally to be one of the worst Ubisoft studios in terms of culture, said one former developer at the publisher of Assassin's Creed and Far Cry. People would visit from other studios and be like, what the fuck is wrong here? It's like, how bad does it have to be? How bad does it have to be that the company already well known for its discrimination and harassment problems, for people to be like, okay, where we're from is bad, but what the fuck is going on here? Anyway, the National Workplace Hot Dog, I was about to say, the National Workplace Watchdog is urging anybody with knowledge of any criminal conduct or sexual harassment stuff to come forward. They are because they're the national watchdog for these kind of things, they do have a fair bit of power that they can exert over Ubisoft Singapore in this place. They can do interviews and investigations ones with specific employees and employers. And they do have a couple of different things that can come from the outcome of this investigation. So if it's been alleged that there's been sexual misconduct or actual criminal offenses, then it's okay, police. Which is just straight to the police with this one. But the other options they have is that they can limit visa permits for foreign employees in the company, which is a substantial number of people. It's blocking Ubisoft's ability to apply for or renew its work permits for foreign staff, which would impact 60% of the studio. 60% of the studio's expert and senior expert roles. It's not even the entire studio. It's just the upper level. It's get fucked if they go with that one. It's that's the end. That's the end of that studio, pretty much. This investigation comes following reports that the company culture at Ubisoft, Montreal, Toronto, Quebec, Montpellier, and the head Paris office also been found to be rife with harassment. Wow. What a shithole of a company. Okay, let's attempt to cleanse our palates with some dumb shit. So, Yakuza's Kazuma Kiryu joins the growing Super Monkey Ball cinematic universe. So there are a bunch of guest characters that have appeared in Super Monkey Ball over the years. Okay, they don't have a GIF of it. That's fine. But now Kazuma Kiryu has been added to the list, and it's a pretty funny trailer. It's exactly what you think. It's just him running around in the ball, and shenanigans. There are Yakuza-specific pickups here. It's these Staminans and Toriner bottles that he's picking up here are all specific to the game. I think, at least with Sonic, there was music specific to the game as well, so there'll probably be the same idea there. But it's just funny. It's just funny to see a character who is extremely serious all the time. He's very much the straight man of the whole series to be in stupid shenanigan scenarios. I just think it's really funny. In case you missed it during QuakeCon, I promise this isn't a meme, but there's another Skyrim coming out. So it's 2021 and Bethesda has announced yet another Skyrim port. So Skyrim will be coming to the latest consoles. So PS5, PS4, Xbox Series, Xbox One, PC, Switch. This will be the Skyrim Anniversary Edition, as it will be 10 years since Skyrim launched, and that will also include 20 different ports of the game as well, or something. So there are some new additions to the game. There's updates on resolution, stuff like that, some higher definition assets and textures, but also fishing. Incredible. I can't wait to do some fishing in Skyrim. If you have the special edition already, this will be a free upgrade. If you don't, you'll just have to pay it again, I guess. It also comes with some Creation Club mods and next gen support stuff. Whether it will have DualSense shit and all that. I don't know. And the anniversary edition will also include like the DLC stuff, so like Dawnguard, Earthfur, and whatever the third one was. I don't remember what the third one was. Anyway, and fishing. Also, I can't. He can't keep getting away with this. Fucking Todd Howard does it again. I can't believe it. Okay, last thing. Somebody made Simpsons Hit and Run in Unreal, and it's pretty good. Like, they did a pretty good job. Let's have a look at it here. So, if you may or may not remember, Simpsons Hit and Run was a kind of GTA clone before The Simpsons. So you'd have like various missions driving around Springfield as the different Simpsons family members. Okay, this trailer's a bit strange. I think this is the actual game and not the Unreal thing. Okay, maybe it is. Okay, so this is just the guy going into how he made it. Alright, that's fair enough. Because that was the actual game. Okay, I don't know what's going on in this video. I probably should have watched it ahead of time. We'll just stay with the GIF. Okay, anyway. It's a pretty good job just from the GIF and the kind of other video snippets that I've seen. I haven't seen that full video before, so that'll just be a little bit different. It's just a cool idea, and we're probably never going to see it just because Disney own Simpsons now. And also, he'll probably never get this out because Disney owns Simpsons now. Oh, it says it there. I didn't even realize it. Sadly, the download for the partial remake was removed due to copyright concerns. No shit. No shit. You can't get it past the fucking Disney bots. They'll find it every time. That's a real shame. Anyway, that was the news for the 16th to the 22nd of August 2021. Like really eye-opening shit on Roblox. Like a lot of people kind of just dismissed it as a kind of bad Minecraft. And one, it's not like that at all. It's like nearly a full-on game editor in itself. Although, as noted in the People Make Games video, it's the skills that you'll develop on that game editor are completely non-transferable. It's like, it just works so very different to the way actual game editors work that even if you did decide to graduate to different game development, you wouldn't be able to. That's really bad. Some interesting new releases, mostly Greak and Humankind I'm probably most interested in, but Humankind being PC only means I'll probably never get around to playing it. Greak, though, we'll be seeing on the channel because I do have a key for it, which is great. 12 minutes, another game I'll probably never get around to playing, which also kind of sucks. Sorry, I'm still looking at this Humankind trailer, it's pretty funny. No! It's the third one. There's many of them, okay. Anyway, thanks for watching, everybody. Elsewhere on the channel, it'll be Plague Tale. So Plague Tale Innocence will appear again, part 6. Getting onto that, I am looking to probably increase the number of Plague Tale parts to come out in a week, just cause the game is actually kind of short, but just the way I've been uploading videos makes it seem like it's like a short game like that shouldn't be taking months to come out on as an LP. So I will be looking to kind of speed that up. Maybe I'll do twice a week for Plague Tale videos, but I don't know. Anyway, thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.